Russia has seized about 20% of Ukraine's territory. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says that front lines are stretching across more than 1,000 kilometres as the war nears its 100th day mark. Battles are set to intensify, with Moscow warning that Western arms shipments to Kyiv will only cause more suffering. Ukraine and international partners are working to stave off a global food crisis. A United Nations-backed mission is aiming to restore shipping routes in the Black Sea and export Ukrainian farm produce. This after Moscow captured some of Ukraine's biggest ports. The Russian Navy now controls major transport routes in the Black Sea. On the ground, Ukrainian soldiers are holding out for yet another day in Severodonetsk. Ukrainian officials admit that they have lost as much as 80% of the city, which is a key battleground in the Luhansk region. In the nearby city of Rubizny, residents struggle with meeting basic needs as the fighting closes in.
Здесь мы варим еду. То есть вот в этих кастрюлях у нас готовится пища. Ну, а теперь я вас проведу в наше, можно сказать, бомбоубежище.
В городе нет света, нет воды, нет газа. И вот ребята, они поднимаются утром, 5:30, привозят водичку, рубят дрова и на костре готовят. Кипяток нам дают. В обед можно нам готовить, стараются готовить горяченькое что-то. Вечерком тоже кипяток.
Philip Crowther joins us live from Lviv for more. Philip, Russia is close to capturing Severodonetsk, one of the industrial hubs on Russia's path to taking the eastern side of the Luhansk region. What does Moscow stand to gain, though, from controlling this city?
Yeah, it's a good question. Severodonetsk has practical or tactical purposes for Russia. It is one of only two cities that it doesn't have under control in that Luhansk region right now. Luhansk and Donetsk are the two regions, the two provinces that make up the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine. The British Defence Ministry, in one of its updates today, and they tend to be very trustworthy, saying that most of Severodonetsk is under Russian control, thereby pretty much reflecting what local authorities are telling us as well. The next city in line, if you will, that risks being overtaken or at least fought over in that Luhansk region would be Lysychansk. What we're also seeing, though, from the Russian side is this is not just of tactical importance. It is also almost now a matter of necessity for Russia to gain control over Severodonetsk. It's a matter of pride almost, because Russia has sent so much equipment and has sent so many soldiers towards Severodonetsk to get it under control. And the opposition, the resistance from Ukrainian fighters, again, has pretty much surprised everybody. Of course, they are using more advanced Western weapons, but still, this is an army of Ukraine that was believed to be far inferior to the Russian army. Now, there's a bit of urgency here for Russia as well. We heard from the Pentagon very recently saying that those advanced weapon systems that have now been promised by the United States over the last 24 hours, that they are going to take around 3 weeks to arrive on the front line. Russia will want to make as many gains as it possibly can during that time. And speaking of advanced weapon systems, Britain now also deciding to send new weapon systems to Ukraine alongside Germany and the United States.
Meanwhile, you're reporting to us from Lviv, Philip, and there's been a missile strike on that region targeting railway infrastructure. Now, what's the purpose behind such an attack?
Yeah, we saw a plume of white smoke last night, relatively late, during an air raid alarm, which we believe to be from one of those areas that were targeted by Russian missile strikes yesterday, two different areas in this Lviv province here, which is pretty large. These were not airstrikes that were close to the city, at least 70 kilometers away from here. Now, what's the purpose? Well, you mentioned it. These are the rail lines, and this is transport infrastructure, which, of course, here in the west of Ukraine is being used to bring weapons to the front lines. And of course, there are many front lines, but it's not just eastern Ukraine. It's also in the Kharkiv region in the northeast. It's also the south of Ukraine, where Russia controls a pretty large part of that territory. So this is a reminder from Russia that it can hit essentially any target at once, at any moment. It has so many possibilities of air raids, but also of missiles being sent from the likes of Belarus or from Russian territory. And we know from the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy that he says that 15 missiles were sent onto Ukrainian territory by Russia over the last 24 hours. That is why he again has called for more weapons. He spoke to the parliament in Luxembourg today, saying that he wants even a small country like Luxembourg to put pressure on other European countries for them to send Ukraine more weapons.
Philip, thank you. Philip Crowther there in Lviv.